ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः।
Friends, welcome back to the study of the Bhagavad Gita. We were in the 4th chapter and we had just read the shloka number 18 and we had a literal translation of it. But as you know, Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita uses 3 or 4 shlokas together to develop a very, very deep spiritual idea with great clarity. And that clarity depends upon proper choice of words. So now he is trying to explain to us that we humans, as we are constituted, we have a sense of duty ingrained in our thinking, in our personality. There's not a single human being who does not have a sense of duty, whatever that may be, whether it's acceptable to you or not, acceptable to the society or not, acceptable to the law and order or not, is immaterial. But each one has a sense of duty. And the Indian spiritual sciences take advantage of that initial sense of duty of a human, how it can be converted into a means to spiritual realization, which is a cause of bondage. And that very sense of duty, when performed, it is known as activity, behavior pattern, call it by any name. When that sense of duty is activated, we perform acts and deeds. Sri Krishna's interest is, in the 3rd chapter, he has nomenclatured the chapter as a chapter on Karma Yoga. How to convert the concept of work into a concept of worship, which is a direct and an independent means to realization. That is what Swamiji says. And Acharya Shankara and other Acharyas say, you perform your duties in a totally detached, unattached, uninvolved manner. Do it correctly, thoroughly, perfectly, excellently, and you do it as a worshipfulness to the divine. Concept of work and worship has been defined, and I've tried to explain to you many a times. I may not repeat now, but we are taught how to convert the concept of work into concept of duty, concept of worship. And that worshipfulness clears our personality, our thinking. Chitta Shuddhi, Satta Shuddhi ja bhavati, Jnana Praptir Yogyata bhavati. That is, you equip yourself, you qualify yourself for the last journey, that to identify yourself with your true original nature. That was the essential teaching of Karma Yoga. But humans, as we are constituted, in the process of performance, being impatient, we sometimes develop a doubt in our mind, a hesitancy in our mind. Is it really worth it? I don't see any change in me. I don't grow two horns and a long tail to identify myself as a spiritual practitioner. So, to remove that possibility of doubting, possibility of hesitation, the fourth chapter is nomenclatured as Jnana Yoga. That is, behind this conviction that work can be converted into worship, behind this conviction, we must have a rock-solid, crystal-clear intellectual understanding how it takes place, so that when it does not happen, you know where you are going wrong. So this fourth chapter gives you an intellectual, rock-solid, crystal-clear conviction that a concept of work, where my ego is involved, where my likes and dislikes are involved, this activity can be converted into an endless worship of the divine. How can that be done? The disciplined procedure has been mentioned. Now, a rock-solid, crystal-clear, intellectual conviction is being created for you. The last three slokas, the verses, the 16th, the 17th, and 18th go together. In the 16th shloka, he says, Jaj gyatva mokshase ashubhat. That is, what is karma, what is akarma, what is bikarma. All these must be thoroughly understood. And when you have understood it, and here understanding is not only intellectual conviction, it is experiencing also. So when you experience and understand that, then you will be doing your duties in this life as a worship, and that will lead you to emancipation, liberation, freedom, call it by any name. Ashubhat mokshase. You will be delivering yourself, you will be freeing yourself from this samsara chakra, that is this constant going and coming. I am born, I die, I am born again and I die. This is this endless circle of birth and death. You will break it through. Now, in the 18th shloka, he tells you about the practicality of it. What does it mean? What do you do? What type of devoted, dedicated, determined discipline that you have to undergo, by means of which you reach that goal? So, literally we have read this shloka. I have translated it for you. Now keep in mind, karma has to be understood. what is akarma has to be understood, and what is a bikarma has to be understood. Having understood these three aspects of karma, now he will teach you what is the attitude with which you live in this world and you continue to perform your duties of this world. And that type of performance will not bind you down. That type of performance, ashubhat mokshase, you will be liberated from this ashubha cycle of birth and death. This is how we introduce the subject to start with. Let us now concentrate on the 18th chapter, and apart from its literal translation, we will pay attention to what Sri Krishna tries to drive home, tries to make us understand, and while we understand, we convert that understanding into day-to-day practicing. This is the sum and substance of the 18th chapter, 18th shloka of the 4th chapter. Now let us read the shloka. Karmani akarma ja pashet. Let us divide the shloka into 4 parts. First half of the first line of the shloka, second half of the first line, first half of the second line, and the second half of the second line. Jaha, a person, whosoever he may be, any corner of the world, it is meant for humans. Yaha, karmani akarma pashet. What is the literal translation? He who sees, pasha means seeing, and we always seeing means we see through our eyes. Here we have to broaden it. He who understands and understands in depth. What does he understand in depth? Karmani akarma ya pashe. He who sees in activity, in intense action. He who sees no activity in intense action. He who sees, understands, experiences. A. Contrarily, yaha akarmani karma pashet. And he also sees. What does he see? Absolute inactivity. He sees he is active. He doesn't know what he is saying, but he is active. So you see, it appears Sri Krishna is talking in riddles, in enigmas, self-contradictory statements. And then he says, so that person who sees no activity in intense activity and who sees activity in so-called non-activity, such a person, manusheshu buddhiman, he is extremely understanding, intelligent, and rational. Manusheshu buddhiman, amongst the whole population of humans. He has understood it correctly. That is what buddhimanata, buddhimatta is. He understands it correctly without any shred of hesitancy, doubt, or mistaken identity. Sayukta. He is always in communion with the ideal. He is so entrenched and placed and ensconced in his awareness of the Atman, Sayukta. He is always entrenched there. Sarva karma krit. He performs everything. The purpose of converting work into worship, he has achieved that purpose. This is a literal translation of the shloka. And it is one riddle after the other riddle. We need to understand it from the common sense point of view, and secondly, from spiritual point of view, the Vedantic point of view. So, dears, let us pay attention to that aspect today. Literal meaning is all confusing. Now let us have and make use of our common sense. Karmani akarma pashet. Now, let us give you a worldly example. While walking down the road, you see on the other side of the road, two persons, they're arguing, and the arguing becomes hot and hotter and hotter, and ends up in fisticuffs. You are not at all involved. These two madmen, I don't know what they're doing. You are watching. You are watching, you are seeing everything. You are not at all involved. Who hits whom, who wins, who loses, what happens, you're just involved. And behind your mind are some problem, professional problem, which is uppermost in your mind. Your mind is there. You see and you do not get involved. You don't run to stop them and to advise them and to plead them. You only see. And your brain is involved with that problem which is waiting you in your professional life as soon as you go to your place of work. Does it happen or not? We keep on seeing things in this world, but we are not involved. We see, we are not involved, and the major portion of my brain activity is thinking of that problem. You are physically seeing it, but you are engaged elsewhere. Is it a fact of life or not? That means if you are totally engaged in something, and while living in this world, you see something happening, you have no time to get involved. You are busy otherwise. This is a worldly example which happens to all of us. Sa Yukta Sa Krishna Karma Krit. Yukta. What is it? He is involved with something else. What is that something else? That something else, my true identity. I am Satchit Ananda Swarupatma. I am Nitya, Suddha, Buddha, Mukta, Swabhavavan Atma. That is what I am. I am totally involved with that idea. And my body, my sense organs, and etc., they are involved because these are all involuntary organs. If you are not blind, you open your eyes, you will see. Involuntary. You will hear if there is a noise. You will feel the touch of something. You will smell. You will taste. If something is put on your tongue, whether you like it or not, you will taste it. This involuntary organs, which constitute my body-mind complex, it keeps on working, but I am busy elsewhere. So what does he mean? Keep yourself totally busy elsewhere. What is that elsewhere? My true original nature. Yuktaha. So, I am so involved totally with that concept that I am Drashta Swarup, I am Shakshi Swarup, I am untaintable Atman. And I live like that in this world. And that is a matter of devoted, dedicated, determined discipline. This is an example. Another example which our scriptures give us, Acharya Shankara, who interpreted Sri Krishna's words and Avatara himself, he says something else. What does he say? Another example. And examples are wonderful teachers. It makes philosophical jargon so easy that I can relate and say, oh, yes, this is possible. What is that? I am sitting on a boat and the boatman is rowing me along the river. And I am sitting and enjoying the landscape on two banks. When I am interested in that landscape, what do I see? I see the trees are walking past by me. I am stationary and the trees are moving. And more modern example is in a railway station, two trains are standing side by side. Your train moves and you find the other moving. But actually you are moving, the other is stationary, known as relative velocity. This error always happens. You are moving, But you think, you are convinced you are stationary, the stationary trees are moving away. One example. The other example is, you are walking down the beach and an oyster shell, one doesn't know what has happened to that oyster, the shell is lying on the beach, on the sand, and the sun is reflecting on the inner side of the shell. And it is so bright, in the first instant, you see a piece of silver shining. And that conviction is so convincing and true, you run to pick up that silver. And later on, you say, dear me, what a fool I am. It is a piece of oyster shining in the sun. But you were motivated. And then you leave the oyster shell where it is, you see it shining like a piece of silver, and you are not motivated. You know now what it is. Sorry. These are the examples that are given. Now, in the Gita, you have read it previously, or you'll read it later on. I'm not very sure whether it's in the 2nd chapter or the 6th chapter. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattavit. And then he recites some of the activities and he says that it is the body and the body alone which is involved. I don't do anything. So, the meaning, the philosophical meaning, to be translated into our day-to-day lives practices, it means karmani akarma ya pashet. What is akarma? Non-involvement. Indriyani indriyartheshu vartante iti dharayan. Here in the Gita he has said, my indriyas, sense organs, they chase after their objects. And that is how the game goes on. I am not involved. I have identified myself with my true original nature. So here, karmani akarma yah pashet, in our behavior pattern, because it is a practical instruction. Don't say it is only a few words and I say, yes, yes, I understand. No, we have to put it into practice. I am involved. And if I, with devotion, dedication, determination in a disciplined manner, I always keep on practicing. I am the eternal witness. I am the eternal observer. I am not involved. Nothing in this world can attract me. Nothing in this world can involve me. I am Drashta Swarup, Shakshi Swarup. I am uninvolved. This is the practice that these 3 words, Yaha, 4 words. Yaha karmani akarma pashet. He who, in this thick of life, when he is performing his duties, what is he doing? He is, as a karma yogi, converting his concept of egocentric involvement, ahankara, egocentric involvement. He is cutting at the root of involvement by devoted, dedicated, determined and disciplined activity of the mind. I am not involved. This should not be a hollow discipline. Why? Until and unless you are yoga yukta, you will not be able to do that. You can't live in void. You can't live in vacuum. So that is why I said, yukta Krishna karma krit. Sa yukta, sa Krishna karma krit. He is totally identified with, involved with, saturated with, permeated with the awareness of presence of the divine within himself. And the activities of the body-mind complex is not involved. This is the secret converted into practicing of these 4 words, yaha karmani akarma pashet. Now the contrary, akarmani ja karma jaha. Now you have heard not to be involved. I'll do nothing. I will do nothing. Whom are you deceiving, my dear children? Whom are we deceiving but ourselves? You say, I will do nothing. That is, you will do something which is known as nothing to you. Doing nothing is as much as doing something known as nothing, or you say as nothing. So you can't be a stone. You can't be a piece of an inanimate object. Life and activity are synonymous. So, don't deceive yourself, Arjuna. Arjuna wanted to run away from the world. I am not going to do this duty. Horrendous duty. I'll rather go and be a mendicant monk. You are only changing the name of your activity. That's what you are doing. So, akarmani, our misconception of akarma, has to be properly understood. And I see karma there. My involvement is very much there. I say, I am doing nothing. I'll do nothing. What does it mean? You are doing something which you are calling by the word nothing. You are naming that thing as nothing, but you are doing it. Akarmani karma japashit. See now, he had no other way but to put it in this contrasting manner, so-called contradictory manner, in a riddle as it were. He had no other way. It is we who have to find out what is the inner meaning of his statement. So, karmani ja akarma pashet. That part we have understood. Akarmani ya karma jaha. Pashet. I have understood this also. Who is that man? He is amongst the whole human society. He is a man of correct understanding. He has realized the truth hidden behind the appearance. He has realized that I am moving on the boat. The trees are stationary. He has realized that I made a mistake in the glitter of the sun to see a shell, an oyster shell, as a piece of silver. I made the mistake. He has now educated himself. He is now aware of the reality hidden behind the appearance of the world. Sa buddhiman manusheshu, of all the humans of the world, a person, he who has developed this understanding. And what type of a person he should be? Should be yuktaha. He doesn't live in negation. He doesn't live in void. He is slowly and slowly removing and identifying, removing his mistaken identity and rehabilitating himself in his own lost glory. Sa yuktaha, sa Krishna karma krit. He is the person who has performed the duties of his life. The only duty of your life is to find your soul. The other duties are all secondary. But because we do not know how to perform our duties of life, the secondary duties become primary and we have no information about our primary. We have no knowledge, no information about that. Sri Krishna is now telling us properly how to carry on with our life as a karma yogi. And it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen immediately. It will happen by developing a slow growing momentum in yourself. And transformation of your egocentric personality into the divine is no child's play. It is really a bag-breaking hard work. Swamiji had said at one place, Swami Vivekananda had said place, you know what is to realize your own true original nature? Do you know what it is like? And then he says, you take back the Ganga from the estuary at Ganga Sagar back to Gangotri. As easy as that. As easy as that. To take the whole volume of water of Ganga flowing because of gravitation, you pull it back to Gangotri or Gomukh. That is what sadhana is. So dear, this is what the inner meaning, the inner suggestion, practical instruction for a devoted person who has dedicated his life to reach this goal. Let me read it once again and you will be very, very clear. Karmani akarma ya pashet. Akarmani yaha karma pashet. Such a person of the whole human society is buddhiman. He is of proper understanding, proper experience, proper conviction. Proper. Sa manusheshu buddhiman. And the most important word is sa yuktaha. How does he achieve that? Not by negation, not by living in a vacuum. I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not this. You're creating a vacuum within you. That is not what you cannot live in vacuum. Because you are not, there's nothing vacuum in this world. The whole world is permeated and saturated with Atman Brahman. So, you identify yourself with your true original nature. The more you identify yourself with your true nature, I am Drashta Swarup, I am Shakshi Swarup, I am Nirvikalpa, Nirakara, Nirguna Brahma Swarup. I am that. When you are doing that constantly, educating and disciplining yourself on that constantly, automatically all this will fall off. Don't try to do it in a negative manner. Na iti means iti na. This is not. Something else is there. This is how Sri Krishna explains to you, and you have done the greatest purpose or duty of your life by being one with God. Yukta. So dears, this is what the 16th, the 17th and the 18th shloka put together is. Kim karma kim akarma iti kavayo pyatra mohita. Very wise people, they are also confused. They are confused and confounded. What is karma? What is akarma? And he says, I will tell you what is karma, what is bikarma, what is akarma. Jajñatva. When you understand me thoroughly, properly, correctly, ashubhat mokshase, you will break this chain of birth and death. And then in the 18th shloka, he tells you in such a manner, it is enigmatic, it is like a contradictory riddle, but hidden into it is your way of life. Yuktaha Krishna Karmakrit. He is Manushveshu Buddhiman. How come? Because he has Yukta, he is Yukta, means he has identified with self, with his true original nature, which in this context, he is Drashta Swarup, he is Sakshi Swarup, he is unattached, he is uninvolved. So dears, this is what the 16th, 17th, 18th shloka is all about. And then he explains what is this yukta in the 19th shloka. Jasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita Jnanagni dagdha karmanam tvam ahu panditam buddha. What does it say? Such a person, jasya sarve samarambha, all that you have to do in your life as a call of duty, Kama Sankalpa Varjita. Expect nothing from this damned world. This deceitful world. It promises, it does not have the capacity to keep its promise. Unending farce. This is what the world is. Though we have lived in this world, oh, this is a beautiful place. But it can promise you a lot of things, entice you, tempt you, but it has no capacity to give you what is real. He says a person, all his performance under the call of duty, all that he performs, Kama Sankalpa Varjita, totally devoid of Varjita. Of what? Kama Sankalpa. I am doing this because I expect this in return. That is Kama Sankalpa. Desire of the fulfillment of my expectation from this world. A person who has mastered this art of living in this world, apparently doing all his duties, that's what I see. But he knows he is totally detached. Kama Sankalpa Varjita. Jnanagni Dagdha Karmanam. Jnana Roop Agni. What is that Jnanam? I am Drashta Swarup, I am Shakshi Swarup, I am Nirguna, Nirakara, Nirvikalpa Brahma Swarup. I am Atma Brahma. That Jnana Roop Agni has burnt away everything. He is poised in the majesty, in the excellence, in the glory of his own self. Jasya sarve samarambhya kama sankalpa varjita jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddha. The knowers of the self, they classify such a person as a pandita. The word pandita, according to literal meaning, is a highly educated academic scholar. A well-informed information counter clerk. He can rattle away all information. No. Panda Vishakam Jnanam Jasya Asti Sa Pandita. What does it mean? It means he who is aware, Panda is Atma. I am the Atman. I am the Brahman. Though I am alive, I am Drashta Swarup, I am Shakshi Swarup, Kama Sankalpa Varjita, and I am totally nirlipta, untainted, untouched. Jasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita jnanagni dagdha karmanam tam buddha pandita mahu. Such a person is a knower of the self. That is, that practice of being yukta, that practice has totally saturated his personality. His egocentric personality has merged with the cosmos. Sarvatma Anubhuti, Sarvabhuta Antaratma. Sarvabhuta Atma Antaratma. That is, I am the essence of the whole cosmos. That is what I am. Knowers of the self, they tell him, you belong to this class, the class to which we belong. You are a Sthita Prajna Purusha, you are a Sarvajna Sarvavit. Yah Sarvajna Sarvavit, Jasya Mahima Hi Esha Bhuvi. This is what the Mundaka says, the Upanishad says. So, dears, this is how the 4th chapter, Jnana Kanda, gives you a rock-solid, crystal-clear foundation of how to become a karma yogi, and that is never assailed, never disturbed by a sense of doubt or sense of hesitancy. That is why it is said as Jnana Yoga. Know for certain what is real and what is unreal appearing to be real. This discrimination is the main factor of spiritual life. To experience, not only knowing by your brain, know it by your brain first, and then saturate your whole being with that conviction. That conviction becomes a motivation, and the motivation saturates you. So this is the conviction that he is creating for us. So let us stop here today. We will meet again next Sunday at 9:30. And slowly, Sri Krishna will speak in such an affirmative manner that he will make you feel it is very easy. But when you try to put into practice, because of your age-old samskaras, because of your purva janma samskara, you will feel it is extremely difficult. It is almost like a cat and mouse game. It will try to hide itself in a corner, and you will find out and get hold of it and throw it out of your system. Throw it out of your system. It's a very, very adventurous, joyful, challenging game. Jasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita jnana agni dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam. Kaun? Who? Buddha. Those who have realized, they call him. He is an Atma Jnani. Panda Bishakam Jnanam Jasya Asti Sa Pandita. He is a Pandita who knows his Atman as his own true original nature. Thank you, dears. Thank you ever so much. We will carry on with the study, and now it will be very easy on you. He will precisely tell you what to do, what not to do. Thank you, dears. Thank you.
Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.